thank you so much for attending the presentation this evening. It's been an incredible start back to the spring term. I know the students have only been in for 2 days, but it's been lovely to see them all. And I just want to give you a little bit of an update. So tonight is going to be myself as the assistant head teacher in charge of Year 7, and Miss Wickstead, who is the assistant head teacher in charge of Year 8.
Good evening, well, it's just really nice to do a joint presentation, because we have so many things to talk about that kind of are common to both year groups tonight.
Absolutely. So I'm going to get started. So we are covering a number of things tonight. So hopefully they are all useful. Some might be more useful than others. And so we're going to look at some key dates for our year groups. So looking at both 7 and 8. We will be looking at CHS Scholar Learning Habits, something I know we've mentioned a number of times in communication, and it was mentioned on the initial parental information evening that we did. But I wanted to break them down a little bit and actually support parents with ways that you can support those learning habits in school. We are also going to look at the code of conduct and some of the school drives we've been having over the last term, and we'll continue to drive over the coming spring term. There will be more additions to that, but we will share those with you as and when we add them. We are also going to look at some progress test information. I am going to share with you a video that I know that some people may have already watched, and I apologize in advance for that, but I feel like we want to make sure as much as possible that the messages that are being shared with the students are shared with parents, and you know, it's consistent. So that's why we feel like it's best that we kind of replay that video. We will then look at, and I've changed the order a little bit here, we'll then look at the assessment and reporting process, because we wanted to share with parents for the first time what that will look like for Year 7 and 8. And hopefully, again, that will be another video, so we apologise in advance, but for the same reasons as progress tests, we want to make sure that it's consistent. Then I will share with you effort criteria. Now, this is mentioned in assessment and reporting, but we just want to go through a little bit more detail about the effort criteria. And finally, Miss Wickstead will share with you the extracurricular plan for this half term as well. So that's kind of the whole presentation. We will send out over the coming days a survey for you, for you to fill in if that's possible. But also, if you've got any questions, you can also you'll be able to add them on that survey. So hopefully we have covered all bases. But please, get in contact with us if you feel like there's something we've not answered that you require any answers to. Okay, so I will get started. So first and foremost, we thought it'd be important to kind of share with you dates for Year 7 and Year 8. So progress test fortnight starts on Monday the 16th of January, and it will go through to Friday the 27th of January. During that period, students will take their progress tests for Year 7 and 8 in every subject. Now, we have published the dates for English and maths and science. However, we haven't published the dates for others because students have been asked to collate that information themselves by asking their teacher. But effectively, if you've got 1 hour of RE, for example, that will be either in the first week of progress test or the second week, and their teacher will tell them which lesson that should take place in. They should also have learning journeys in their books, which should also clarify when they are as well. The next key date is Parents' Evening. So for Year 7, Parents' Evening will be on Thursday the 4th of May, 4 p.m. until 6:30. This will be in person. So this will be a Parents' Evening where you come into school and you meet with the teachers in person. And for Year 8, and I have just realised that I haven't actually put the year groups on there, so I apologise. For Year 8, it will be on Thursday the 16th of March, so quite much closer than Year 7. And that will be virtual. And I know we went out at the start of the year and we kind of clarified that we're doing a mixture of virtual and in person because we feel like, we've found an effective way of doing things and there's no need to go backwards. But at the same time, sometimes it's nice to have events in person. So we've got a good mix across all year groups as to, you know, what they look like. So that's the plan in terms of parents' evening. Okay, so CHS scholars. So over the last term, and I know we've talked about this before, or I've certainly talked about this before with parents, we've been driving a number of learning habits with students to support them really in maximising their success in learning. We thought that this presentation would be a really good opportunity to share with parents some key messages that students have been receiving. So far, we've looked at 4 different CHS Scholar learning habits. Now, there are 7, and we have looked at organise, we have looked at attention, we have looked at home study habits, and we've looked at reading with fluency. So we're going to share with you the walkthroughs, the things that we're actually telling students to do, and we're also going to give you some parental, hopefully, support, ways parents can support this habit at home. So I'm going to start with the first one, which is up on the screen right now, and it's organise. And basically, you know, we want students to step up to their learning, make sure they start every lesson equipped, that they take pride in their exercise books, which, you know, actually are their best revision books, you know, that they could have, that you can't buy them, that they are extending their notes in their exercise books. So things like they are bringing them home, they are going through their learning, they are adding to their learning where that is, you know, necessary, and they are preparing to progress. So they're using their books for things like testing if they like, or, you know, just generally kind of reviewing where they are at in their learning. And we've seen some wonderful examples of this. It really has been incredible to see the students step up with their organisation. It really has. But what we wanted to kind of ask parents to support us with really is making sure that your child is actively looking at their exercise books, that you celebrate them. If presentation's brilliant, then please, you know, celebrate them as much as possible. Things like ensuring your child has the stationery needed to achieve the presentation that we need. So things like pen, pencils, rulers. This is not kind of expected, but it is helpful if they've got a glue stick and highlighters. You know, just makes everything look very pretty, but it also helps them kind of separate a lot of the knowledge away out as well. Encouraging your child to revisit their learning, their exercise books routinely, that being part of their kind of routine at home, where they are extending their notes or they are reviewing the learning, revisiting the learning that they've completed in class. Really powerful learning habit to get into, and one that we are trying to encourage every single student to be part of. So that was kind of our first walkthrough that we introduced to students. We then moved on to attention, and we talk about paying attention like a star. You'll notice that each of the different elements of the walkthroughs, or, you know, of the kind of the information we've shared with them, has a word linked to it, and we've done that on purpose because we want it to be memorable. But things like when they're learning, sitting up straight, tracking the teacher, making sure that they're asking and answering questions, and respecting one another's opinions and listening actively to one another. That's kind of the basis of that particular habit, learning habit. Because we know that where learning is most effective, or even effective at all, attention is crucial. And if you could help us by ensuring your child's coming to school ready to learn, that they've had a good night's sleep, you know, that, you know, you ask them questions and answers that they've been asking in lessons, you know, thinking about, you know, what have you asked in lessons today, what have you spoke about, you know, did you answer any questions, what were the answers that you just really just encouraging them to do it as much as possible. And your kind of curiosity there should definitely help that. So that would be really lovely if you could get involved with that as well. So that was our second learning habit. And as I've said, we've done 4 out of 7 so far. The next one was home study habits. And I know that we did send this home, the actual full walkthroughs on our website, because, you know, this directly links to parents, you know, as well as students. But we looked at home study habits and how it's kind of in 2 parts. So you've got your home learning that's set by the teacher, and then you've got your home study, which is kind of a little bit more independently driven, and that can be through their exercise books. It could be through online learning. There's lots of different ways that they might do that home study. But that is all about, we've used the word home on purpose, but it's about having a plan. It's about making sure that their resources are organised, that they're maximising their study habits. They're using the different things that we do teach as part of our curriculum, as part of lessons. They're using all those different skills, and they are evaluating where they are at in terms of, their understanding of certain things. So actually, there's loads to be doing there. In terms of your support, we'd love it if parents could sit down with their children and discuss their homework plans with them, because it is really important for your child to maintain their social calendar and after school activities. We feel like that's just as much as important as them doing their homework, but actually making sure that homework is part of the plan and that's planned in rather than something last minute. That kind of keeps all those things going much more effectively, and they're not rushing kind of last minute to get things done. Making sure that homework and revisiting learning is planned into planned into this as well, gets them into just really good routines. Also ensuring your child has somewhere that they can go to complete their home learning, where they can concentrate. Now, I am very, I apologize, my phone ringing there. I am blessed that I only live with one other person, so I can keep it very quiet here, but I know that's lots of us have lots of busy lives, busy families, busy households, and that's absolutely fine. But if you can find somewhere that they can go, that could be your bedroom, that could be their bedroom, wherever you think, but making sure that they've got somewhere where they can concentrate. And just kind of a side note from that, in school, the library is available after school every day. If that is something that you feel like would be beneficial for your child to do from that 3:45 till that 4:45, and that can be part of their homework plan, please encourage them to do that. That would be excellent. And I've talked a little bit more about this earlier, but revisiting learning, previous lessons in advance. One of the key tips I always give students is, if you've got maths tomorrow, it's never going to be a bad thing to go back to your previous maths lesson and think about, well, what did you look at? What were the key learning? What's the key learning in that particular lesson in advance of them then going back into their next lesson. And it's just a really powerful learning habit to get into. The final one we've looked at so far with students is reading with fluency. Now, I know I spent a lot of time on the initial parental evening saying how important reading is, and I stand by that. It really is important, but reading routinely is something that we absolutely require from our students, and hope that you can get involved with in terms of making sure that is the case. Engaging with the different reading strategies. So at Charlton High, we have a number of reading strategies that we look at as part of classroom learning, as part of form time learning, and just making sure that they are engaging with these. And actually, in every exercise book, apart from maths, if you look on the inside last page, you will find all our reading strategies there, with some support of how you can use them as well. It's to encourage independence from students, but if you did want to support that further, you would be able to find that information on any of the exercise books, aside from maths, that's got more math things in. I'm an English teacher, so math things are not really my thing. But yeah, all other exercise books, you will see the reading habits there, the reading methods there. Actively improving vocabulary. We spend a lot of time in classes, in every classroom, looking at different words and trying to build their vocabulary, and making sure that they're revisiting that. And we know that if you don't use a word 3 times, it doesn't actually become part of your vocabulary. So it's really important that students do kind of actively use the vocabulary that they are learning, and also celebrating all the different ranges of reading materials. We don't just expect them to read fiction. Non-fiction is great. Other things are great too. Even I always say, where we've got readers that struggle to get into things, audio books can be really powerful just to get them into the story element. But also, if you can do audiobook and reading at the same time, that can be quite nice. It's like being read a story, but you've got the words in front of you. So there's lots of ways to get in, but reading materials can vary, and that's fine. In terms of supporting this, I think it'd be great if you could take them to your local libraries. I know there's a brilliant one in Chorlton, and we're spoke for choice really in Manchester. They really are amazing libraries everywhere. So taking them there and encourage them to find books that interest them. It's not about just reading for the sake of reading. Finding something that they're interested in is part of the battle, really, I think, because we all know as they get older, reading becomes less engaging for them, let's just use that term, but it is a really powerful habit and one that we want to maintain throughout their 5 years with us at Chorlton High. Checking on the reading time that your child's completing. We ask for every student to complete 20 minutes of reading. I think it's 4 times a week, but every day ideally that would be kind of the goal. But making sure that they are taking part in that routine and asking them what they've been reading. It doesn't have to be done in a 20-minute block. It can be done in 5-minute blocks. It can be done in 10-minute blocks. It's whatever works really best for your child and the environment that they're in and the things that they've got planned. We like we say, having a life outside of learning and school is also really important. Asking them questions about what they're reading, what's happened in your book, who's your favorite character, why that character, what do you think might happen next, just things like that can just get them talking about it, and also it will highlight anything. It'll highlight things to you if you think they're not quite understanding this. That will highlight that. And also, like I say, encouraging your child to share the new words that they've been learning at school with you at home, because if they don't say it and use it 3 times at least, we know, the research tells us it's not going to become part of their vocabulary. We always endeavour at school for that to be the case, but if they can use it at home in different contexts, that can also be a really powerful way of learning those words and using those words. So there are kind of 4 scholar habits that we've introduced so far, and we just thought it'd be really good to share with you what we're kind of sharing with students. I'm going to pass over to Miss Wickstead now, who's going to share with you the code of conduct stuff that we've also been sharing with students.
Right, thank you, Ms. Henderson. So just to sort of start, there's a few of these to go through, and I will linger on some more than others. But going alongside our Scholar Drive, we have a drive around a code of conduct, and it's based around something really simple, really easy to remember, that we've kind of had in place in school for a number of years, but it works really well in every situation. And it's kind of our watchwords of be ready, be respectful, and be safe. So we've had a number of drives that we're really pushing and focusing on this term and this year to get pupils back into good routines, getting back into good structure, and kind of being really sort of respectful with each other and the community in school and outside of school. So the first one that we're looking at and really thinking about, and this is where you guys can really support with this, is setting up the day. Getting it back into good routines. I think as somebody who's just come back from a Christmas holiday and got into very, very bad routines, this was as important for me as it was for the young people. But having an evening routine that goes alongside that kind of preparation of books, looking at school uniform, making sure that the bag's packed with the correct books. And again, things like the morning routine. If there is time, we know we all lead very, very busy lives. There's lots of demands on people. That actually, if there isn't time to eat at home, we offer a free breakfast. So if you get here a little bit earlier to school, you can get that. We're also driving a digital detox. So school is a no phone zone, and it's really important, and we'd really like your support with reminding them to keep it like that all day. And you really feel the benefit of that. It encourages young people to talk to each other, to focus on different things other than kind of what's happening in terms of technology and on their phone. So we really want to encourage that, and to encourage that for the young people and for their well-being as well. So our kind of next focus that we're thinking about as well as uniform and equipment. Again, it ties in very much to what Amy was talking about making sure that pupils are ready in terms of their scholar habits. We really put an emphasis on uniform, and we want the students to wear their uniform with pride, so they feel like sort of members of the school community, and that they feel that they're representing themselves in a particular way outside in the community as well as inside our school community. So making sure you've got the right uniform is really, really important. And if there's ever a problem with uniform, please get in touch with us at school. Again, we know that things can get lost, things can get damaged, it's difficult to replace certain items. Get in touch with us and we can always help with that. Making sure they've got a bag with all their necessary equipment is, again, something really important. And again, if there's any problems with equipment and accessing that, get in touch with us. We can help. Get in touch through form tutors, through heads of year, through myself and Amy's assistant heads attached, and we can always help you with that. But it's so important that the students feel ready to learn, as well as kind of having their beautiful books. Actually having that kind of sense of pride feels really, really important. So our next drive that we're going to focus on is attendance and punctuality, and this is one that's kind of really hard. Amy's nodding away there, really close to our heart here. We know that not everybody can achieve 100% attendance, but really what we want is a kind of aspiration for that. And we're talking, we talk to students regularly about the importance of good attendance, and we know particularly they've had a really disrupted few years with pandemic and post-pandemic uncertainties. So actually our kind of focus, our drive is to try and keep young people as much as possible in school and learning. We also talk about punctuality, and that's a kind of a real focus. And this idea that if you get somewhere early, you are on time, that actually getting there a little bit early is absolutely fine. Being in school a little bit before the start of the day is important. And that's a really good habit for young people to develop. And I think all of these routines, everything we're talking about today in terms of the code of conduct, is about developing good routines and good habits for later in life. And that is something that is really important, because it takes them through into college and beyond. And we want our students to feel safe and supported in lessons. We want them to get on into their lessons on time, get used to those routines. And I have to say that, certainly for year 8, they do that really well. I know year 7 do, but it's about continuing to build and emphasise that with young people so that continues. So our next focus is it's around personal space. We're really encouraging young people to follow certain routines. So in school, we encourage them to walk on the left. If you've been in our building, as some of you will have been in our building at various times, it's really important that we walk on the left because it keeps the flow of young people. We've got 1,500 young people in our building, and we have to have a structure and a flow for them to move through safely. So we encourage young people to walk on the left. We also encourage young people to not interfere with other people's belongings. That comes under the category of people's personal space. A lot of our young people, that is part of their personal space. Their belongings are part of them, and they don't want people to sort of interfere with those. We encourage people not to do that. It goes hand in hand with keeping your hands to yourselves. And also, I've kind of come to this last because it's something we're really driving at the moment, is no play fighting, and particularly I think for year 7 and 8, sometimes that's where there's kind of that bridge between primary and still with year 8, where they get very much this idea of we're only play fighting, it's only play fighting, miss, we're friends, it's messing around. But actually what they don't understand is they're getting bigger and more boisterous, and things can actually end up with your people getting really upset by the consequence of something that they didn't intend. So we really kind of encourage them not to play fight and not to kind of mess around in that way, because they are getting older, and it's kind of about maturity. So we're really encouraging that with young people at the moment. Again, kind of, I suppose, hand in hand with this and being a representative of the school and being respectful, we're really driving language and appropriate language, and really picking up on anything that we feel as staff is inappropriate language, but also encouraging the young people to pick up on each other's language, and to correct that, and to treat people, treat others how they wish to be treated. We have an anti-bullying pledge, which is on the school website, designed, as a lot of our things are, by the students, for our students. And it really says what your young person should do if they think they're being bullied. It gives them a sort of strategy for who to go to, also what kind of happens in that situation, those circumstances. And we're really kind of driving on this because it's about the young people owning their behaviour as well, particularly around language and around kind of seeing bullying, not being a bystander, supporting each other. So that is another thing that we're really, really driving on. And so our next drive, again, linking it, this links quite a lot to the sort of physical things that I've talked about before. As I said, we're really, we've got a really big school community. It's really important that we emphasise that students get to their lessons in the fastest, calmest way, that they stay to the left, and that they are walking to places calmly and quietly. We have a really diverse school community, and we have young people who whose mobility may be impaired, who maybe need different ways to get to classrooms, use different aids to get to classrooms. So therefore, everybody being sensible, everybody being calm, kind of facilitates that for the young people in the school community, for who that applies. So it's just really important that we emphasise that. And obviously, you know, sometimes there are times where we pick young people up for behaviour where it isn't necessarily the best way that they've gone about something. But if you could support us with that, that would be fantastic. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Wickstead. So I know all of that feels like, you know, well, of course, all of those things I looked at in school, but actually, lots of research has been done around this, and one of the things we're trying to do with students is you know, we assume that these things are learnt already. And that's not always the case, you know, so we're trying to over communicate some of these messages for those that need that over communication, but also for everyone to just be reminded of the expectation. So it has been really powerful, actually, and some of the students obviously know all of this, and the vast majority do, but being reminded is never a bad thing. And I just want to kind of say that it feels like we're throwing a lot at students. I promise you, it's all been done in a very thoughtful and measured way. So, you know, I just kind of want to say that before we move on to progress test information. I am going to slightly divert here. And the reason for that is because in order to show you these videos for the next two things, I've got to come off this screen. So I am going to go through, if that's okay with Miss Wickstead, I'm going to go through the effort grid that I wanted to share with parents. And then we'll do the enrichment, and then I'll go off the screen and show the videos. Is that okay with you, Miss Wickstead?
I think that works really well. Yeah.
Fab, thank you. So first and foremost, this will be mentioned on one of the videos, but I just wanted to spend some time here because I know that we have sent out effort grids already to parents. So you will have seen already what your child is getting for effort in both home learning and in their classroom effort. I wanted to kind of clarify with parents really that good really is good on this effort grid in terms of the two. We have increased the expectation on this grid, you know, and this is what we have used with teachers for them to kind of come up with what effort grids they're getting in the classroom. And the expectations for one is incredibly high, and we feel like that is right for our students, you know, to expect the absolute best of them is exactly what we need to do. But I kind of just wanted to share with you what teachers are being given as a kind of way to just clarify, you know, that in order to be a good student, you've got to arrive to lessons promptly, ready to learn and equipped, fully equipped. You've got to be able to focus throughout your lessons and demonstrate most of the star qualities. You've got to take pride in your book. You've got to, you know, all the things that come with that. You've got to have full sets of notes and add extra points to support their learning. This is for a 2. You've got to make sure your new vocabulary is really clearly written and defined, and incorporate it into your tasks. Work collaborative, contribute to discussions and group tasks. Show how well you've understood the task by completing your next steps in learning. Acting on feedback, thinking carefully about comments, making sure that your book is a really good revision tool, and the content is detailed, clear and easy to understand. Make sure they hand in their home learning tasks on time and review their learning in their exercise books, and complete all home learning tasks to the best of their ability. So when we talk about good, I'm not going to read excellent out, because that, you know, it's a step, that's a step up. We are genuinely talking about good. Now, obviously, we want all our students to be aiming for 1s, but I just wanted to kind of clarify that, because I think we've raised the game a little bit with effort grades. So year 7 parents, unless you've got elder children in the school, won't notice much difference. But I think year 8, and I think Miss Wick said I'll agree with this, you might notice a bit of a shift when you've been given the effort grades. I don't necessarily want you to worry about that. I think it's just about encouraging. If your child's getting a 2, that is not bad. That is, you know, that if they're getting a 3, we've got, you know, we want some improvement there. If they're getting 2s, that is good, and good does genuinely mean that. To get excellent, they are going above and beyond, and you know, of course, that's the goal, that is the aim, and that's why we just wanted to raise the bar a little bit in terms of the effort grids. Like I said, this will be mentioned in the videos, but I just wanted to kind of go over that before I move off the screen. But before I do that, Miss Wick's just going to share some stuff with you about enrichment.
Right. So it was just to share that we've got lots and lots of enrichment opportunities again for you this term. Lots and lots of clubs that people can attend. All the clubs again will be bookable on Arbor. It'll probably be the end of, I think it'll be week 3 now, that we're just getting everything set up on Arbor. And there will be, the booklet will be emailed out with an outline of those activities, so you can choose to which clubs, which activities are really, really interesting, and then book on those. They'll be open for you, and we would encourage everybody to try to take up at least one enrichment activity. They are fantastic. And I think that young people get a lot out of them, both in terms of making new friendships, so it extends their social times. It also focuses in on some of their sort of hobbies and interests outside of school as well. And it's something I think for some of our young people that they kind of take a little bit further on. I'd had some nice conversations with some young people in the holidays who are actually now have left us some time ago, but are kind of still members at college of sort of very similar clubs to the clubs that they were at Chorlton High. So it is kind of something that they can take again beyond school. So, you know, please encourage them to take part in that, and it's bookable. So obviously you can track their attendance there, and you know, if you ever have a query about a club, an enrichment activity, just get in touch with us at school.
I'm talking with my mic off there, not helpful. In terms of our community now, our students worked tirelessly last term to raise money for the range of charities that we support over the different year groups, and it was incredible to see, and we want to keep that momentum going over the coming terms. On the screen you'll be able to see what who we are kind of raising money for and awareness for. So it's year 7 looking at refugees, year 8 environment and sustainability, year 9 cost of living crisis, year 10 hate crime, and year 11 food banks. So loads of, you know, just loads of worthy causes there. So I guess this is a plea from Miss Quinn, and Miss Quinn's another assistant head teacher of our school, and she kind of leads this, and she's basically a plea to parents. If you've got any ideas about drives you think we should be doing, or if you want to support in any way, please do email her. You know, she loves that kind of engagement from parents. So, you know, we kind of want to say, you know, get involved if you want to as well. I know you have been kind of through your children, because you know, we know that the children have not done all of this amazing work by themselves. So thank you for that as well. But we just wanted a quick reminder about that to parents. Okay, so I'm going to go back to I think really important part of the presentation, and it covers two things. So first of all, we're going to look at progress tests. Now, I've talked about when they take part. Students receive their home study booklet at least 2 weeks before the end of half term, so before the holidays. And we emailed this out to parents on the 7th of December as well. And we also did share with you a video explaining kind of the booklet and the process that the booklet follows. This evening, we would like to play that video again. Now, I'm going to be really honest with you and tell you we've had some technical difficulty here. So I have got everything crossed that this works, but we will see. If it doesn't, there is a backup plan. So I will share that with you in a second. And then after we've shown you that, we also think it's important to share with you how we will be reporting that home. So what assessment and reporting will look like from your perspective in terms of what do you find out regarding the progress test, and what do you need to look for. So I am now going to stop this presentation, and I'm going to hope for the best and be able to show you the, let me hope that this works, be able to show you where you can find this on our website and play it through our website for parents. Now, obviously, I am going to show you where this is because it's on our website, and I am going to ask Miss Wixter to let me know if she can see my screen.
Yeah. As we were talking about punctuality and being here early, I think it was a good job Miss Henderson and I took our 10 minutes early punctuality drive seriously, because we had to iron out quite a few technical hitches, didn't we, Miss Henderson?
We absolutely did. So this is the first video. I'm now getting, I can hear echoes of myself now, which is awful. But what you will see is it's on our website, and it's under, just to kind of clarify, because if parents don't want to sit and listen to me play a video, I totally understand, and you can get this via the website yourself. But if you go to Student Life and you click on the tab that says Assessment and Reporting, Progress Test and Reporting Key Stage 3, if you go right to the bottom of that page, there are two videos made by our deputy head teachers, one on the progress booklet and one on how we will report home our assessments and progress kind of findings. So I'm going to play both of those videos now. Like I say, if you've seen these, or if you think, well, I can do that by myself, totally understand. Please feel free to log off and go via the website at your leisure. So before I do play, I want to say thank you to everybody for coming. I also want to remind you that we will be sending out a survey. It'd be really useful if you fill it in. And if you've got any further questions or things that you think just not being answered, please do let us know, because we will get straight to that and get back to you as soon as possible. Okay, so I'm going to start with the walkthrough video that we showed the students about the booklets and how to use the booklets.
Okay, so today I want to talk to you about home study, specifically linked to getting you all ready for your progress tests. Now, as you know, we have been talking about home study since the beginning of this half term, and we've talked about our scholar walkthrough of having a plan, organising our resources, maximising our study habits, and evaluating our progress. So we have been working really hard to develop this for you so that you have a really useful home study booklet to help you get ready for your progress tests. We've already talked about the difference between home learning, which is set by your teacher, and home study, which is all about independent revision and study habits that support long-term learning. And this is all linked to our memory model. And I talk to you about this all the time, but we know that when we pay good attention in lesson, the information goes into our short-term memory, but we have got to rehearse that information, revisit it, practice it, retrieve it in order for us to achieve long-term learning. And that is the goal of your time at Chorlton High School, that you achieve long-term learning. So your progress tests are weeks 3 and 4 of spring 1, and they start on the 16th of January. And our home study walkthrough tells us about the importance of having a plan and getting organized. And that's why we're starting our conversation about it today. So we have put lots of work into preparing a home study booklet for you. And this home study booklet has 4 sections. The first is space for your progress test timetable. The second is a home study or revision planner. The third are very detailed revision lists explaining what you need to know in each subject. And the final page is a section on study tips. Now, I'm actually going to start a little bit further down just to give you a good sense of the information in the booklet. So you have got this section, which is step 2 on organizing your resources. And in this section, for every one of your subjects, we can see an example of English and maths here. You have a list of what do I need to know and be able to do, keywords that I need to know, and knowledge toolkit information. So, for example, in maths, in the spring, year 8 will be tested on ratio and scale, multiplying and dividing fractions, working in the Cartesian plane, representing data, etc. This is the list of what they need to know. This is the list of key vocabulary that they need to know. And this is their knowledge toolkit. So they can go on to Hegarty Maths and revise. There will be resources on MS Teams for revision. They can use their exercise book, and they will be given a more detailed revision list in their maths lesson. So you have got this for every single subject, okay? Long list of the knowledge that you need to know, your keywords, and signposting to your knowledge toolkit, so where you go for revision. I kind of wanted to share that with you first because I think it's important that you know that you have all of that information before you approach your book. So this study book then, it follows our walkthrough, and the first step is about having a plan. So you're receiving this in form time today, and already it is populated with some of your progress test dates. So you can see that we've got year 8 science, year 8 English, and year 8 maths, all on these key times and dates as seen on the plan. Your first job over the next 2 weeks is in your lessons, you need to find out when each of your other exams are. So for example, you might find out that geography is period 1 on Tuesday, that science is period 3 on Friday, grammar is period 1 on the following Monday, etc., etc. It is your job to get organized because these dates will be different depending on what class you are in. That is why we can't do this for you, and it's a good habit for you to get organized anyway. So your first job over the next 2 weeks is to have this booklet in your bag, get it filled in all of your lessons. And that way you're organized, you know when your tests fall across the 2 weeks. Also part of that step 1, leading on from having your progress test timetable, is developing your study plan. So you can see we have mapped out 4 weeks for home study. And this is the time that you are going to have for your independent practice at home, working through your revision. So we've mapped out 3 study sessions for you each day over the next over this period of 4 weeks. And that starts this week, continues next week, and then the first 2 weeks when we return home. When we return to school from home after the Christmas holidays. So your job really is to think about, this is when all of my tests take place. This is all of the information that I need to know. Have a read through this and have a little think to yourself, which subjects do I need to do more revision in than others? Which subjects do I feel more confident in than others? So for example, an approach to this might be to go to your revision list and to go through it with your highlighters and highlight which topics you feel red, amber, or green in. Okay, so you could go through and kind of rag yourself, and actually at the end of that process you would see very clearly which subjects and which topics you find most difficult. You could do that across all of your different subjects, and that would give you a really clear way of knowing what your key strengths are and what your areas for development are. If after that process you realize you've got loads of amber and red in science, then it might be that you start plotting out science first. And maybe you plot science across each week. You have one 45-minute session for science across each week. If you've also identified, let's say, history as another tough subject for you, again, you might go through that process of plotting it across either the full 4 weeks or maybe, 3 of the weeks. It's up to you. You decide. So you have to plot all of your subjects. You've got to make space for them, but prioritize the ones that you know you have more work to do in. And a really good way of using this revision list is to use it to rag it, to think about which knowledge is secure, which is really insecure, and which is somewhere in between. And just focus on the knowledge that is insecure and the knowledge that is in between. If you feel confident and you've given it a green, then actually that's the last thing that you come to. And that helps you to manage your time really well. So you're organized, you know when your tests are, you've plotted out your revision. You are now ready to start revising, and you are going to use your knowledge toolkit in each subject. So English, I'm here to use my exercise book to revise the characters, plot and themes in my novel, to use the home learning tab to find my specific spring progress checkpoint revision, and to use that to develop my discursive writing skills. So I would log on to Teams, I would go on to my home learning tab in my English lesson, and I would access those resources. I would also have my book ready as a revision tool. And you would do your 45-minute sessions in each of those subjects. Now, we have got some top tips at the bottom for you to maximize those study habits. So you've got your details plan. We have given you 3 key study habits that we think will work very well for you. The first is about utilizing your online platforms. And for year 7 and 8, that is mainly your use of MS Teams and Bite Size. For years 9 and 10, we would add Seneca and GCSE Pod onto that list as well. We have also talked to you about the use of mind maps to maximize your study. And mind maps are a really useful way to map out big concepts and topic areas. So as you go through this RAG process, where you think about the topics that are red or amber, zoom in on that topic and do your mind map. Okay, and we are talking to you in assembly about what really good mind mapping looks like, and we're going to practice that with you in form time as well.
Okay, I'm going to pause that there just because I think the key information that we share with students is there. If you do want to watch the last few minutes of the video, please do feel free to go to the website. The final one is, like I say, how we are going to report this home. And I know for year 8 parents, this has changed. So this will look very different to what you are, well, not very different, it will look different to what you are used to. So I think it is a really important video for us to watch. So I'm going to play that now. Miss Wixter, can I just check you can hear this?
it's not playing at the moment. It'll need.
Right, but you could hear the other one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to play that now.
Hello, welcome to this presentation on assessment at Key Stage 3 at Chorlton High School. This presentation is aimed at both students and parents and will help you understand the way that we assess and report in years 7, 8 and 9. My name is Mr. Dawson. I'm one of the Deputy Head Teachers here at CHS. And part of my role is working to improve the curriculum and the assessment of the curriculum. At Key Stage 3, we are changing the way that we do things. These changes are mainly to do with how we assess and what we report home to parents. We have replaced our old system, which was based on reporting progress of students. We believe our new system is much better as it focuses on judging how well a student knows the curriculum in each subject. We're looking in detail at how the student is performing in key concepts in each subject, and more on this later. So to start us off, we have a question. What exactly is a curriculum? So a curriculum is made up of all the knowledge, skills and experiences that students will learn and be able to do across each of their subjects. At Chorlton High School, this is represented as a 5-year learning journey across each subject. Our aim is for students to become knowledge rich and move from novice to expert in each subject. In other words, it is everything that is taught and hopefully learned in each classroom at Chorlton High School. So what knowledge is in the curriculum? Knowledge is what students need to be able to be successful in their academic studies. And knowledge in the curriculum can be broken down into 2 main types. These are called declarative knowledge and procedural knowledge. Declarative knowledge is the what. It is the facts, the concepts or the rules. Procedural knowledge is the how. It produces some kind of action. It is following the steps of a process. Procedural knowledge can also be conditional, meaning it relies on knowledge that has come before. Another way to think of things is that declarative knowledge is key ideas and procedural knowledge is using, applying and critiquing them. So what we are going to do is to ask students' teachers about the knowledge that the students have gained in all of their subjects and ask them the question, how well have you learned the curriculum? How well have the students learned the curriculum? Therefore, this will be a judgment of how much knowledge, both declarative and procedural, students have gained over time. To do this, we're going to assign one of the 5 words you see here to each student in each subject. These words are emerging, developing, secure, extended, and exceptional. The words and what they mean will be slightly different in each subject, as the knowledge and skills needed for each subject differ. I'll now go into more detail on what each of the words mean in general terms. The first word to look at is emerging. A student working at this level has some knowledge and an emerging understanding of key concepts in the curriculum. An emerging student will find that learning is a challenge and that the subject content is difficult most of the time. They need to focus on practicing and learning key concepts so they can move to the next stage, which is developing. A student working at this level is developing their knowledge as outlined in the curriculum. They are developing the understanding of the key concepts, however, they're not yet secure in these. A student here will find lessons hard sometimes, but will be able to grasp many, but probably not all of the key concepts. They will make mistakes, but this is all part of the learning journey as they try to get their knowledge to be secure. And a student working at this level is secure in their knowledge. They have mastered key concepts and will get things right the majority of the time. All students should be aiming for their knowledge to be at least secure, as this will mean they are on target in their Key Stage 3 studies to have a solid foundation of knowledge at the start of their GCSE studies in Year 10. If their knowledge remains secure in Years 10 and Year 11, they will be looking at gaining Grade 5s and access to many of the courses that they want to study at college. A student who would like to specialise in a certain area should be aiming for their knowledge to be more than secure and extending. So a student working at this level is very secure in their knowledge. They are demonstrating that they have a greater depth of understanding and can apply and manipulate knowledge in key concepts. Students at this level often find that they are easily able to recall their knowledge and they learn things relatively easily, especially new things. They are accurate almost all of the time and are often reaching the extension activities in class. If a student maintains their knowledge at this level, they should be looking at studying the subject perhaps beyond year 11, as they are capable of very high grades indeed. If a student's level is even beyond this level, the student's knowledge will be deemed as exceptional. And a student working at this level is excelling in a level that is exceptional. They display excellent knowledge, application, and the interplay of the key concepts that together demonstrate an academic flair for the subject. Students at this level are incredibly able in a certain discipline and are always quick and always accurate. This is a level that will only be reached by 1 to 2% of our student population, and students at this level should be looking at targeting grade 9s, which is the highest grade in their year 11 studies. So what happens over time? As students move through Key Stage 3, the curriculum will also change as it gets broader and more challenging. And our aim is for all students to be at least secure in their knowledge in all subjects. Our teachers work really hard to deliver lessons that enable students to have this knowledge. And they also work tirelessly to support students who have emerging or developing knowledge. Students who reach extending will be those who put in the extra work often outside the classroom in their home learning and home study, as we know that hard work and focused revision often pays off. So how do we make our judgments? Each subject area in every year group will have their own criteria for the 5 words that we are using to assess the student's knowledge. These will be sent home with any reports to parents, and I'll give you an example in a moment. Teachers will use a variety of evidence to judge where a student's knowledge is up to. They will use a number of factors that are listed here, and one of our large pieces of evidence of a student's performance are our progress tests that take place in the spring 1 half term and the summer 2 half terms. However, we understand that there's more to a student's knowledge than just replicating it on the test, and we take a balanced view of test performance together with the student's ability to communicate their ideas and thoughts through work produced in class and at home, or question answers and conversations had with students in class. Students will get their Key Stage 3 report in the Spring 2 and Summer 2 half terms, and they will look similar to the example shown here. We have a new system for reporting, and this is not yet set up, so we are aiming to send something that looks roughly like what you can see here. There are 3 main parts to reading the table. The first is to look at the curriculum statement for each subject. And the other 2 pieces of information are the effort grades, one for effort in class and the other for effort at home. I will revisit this table later, but I want to spend a little while giving you an example of how to look at the curriculum statements and how to use the effort grades effectively. And of course, there will be more subjects than just these few that I've shown here. So here's an example of what you may get from each subject. This information, as I said earlier, will be sent home with the reports and will also be available to view on the school website. This is Year 7 and it is food and nutrition, food technology. In red here, this is what has been taught over the course of Year 7 in food. It's broken down into knowledge and skills. Below, you'll see a number of statements that detail what the knowledge judgments look like. I've highlighted this secure knowledge in a yellow box to show what it means to be secure in food in Year 7. What you will see when you look at these sentences is that the more independent the student is, the further right their judgment will be. Class teachers will also help the students understand how to move their knowledge from developing to secure or from secure to extended. They will revisit knowledge toolkits used in most lessons. They will refer to personalised learning checklists that are used in many areas after progress tests to identify students' individual strengths or areas to concentrate on, and they may direct some specific areas for home learning. Accompanying the curriculum statements, as I mentioned earlier, would be effort, and here is our effort grid. This details what we deem to be the skills and traits demonstrated by our students that will enable them to be CHS scholars. This grid again is on our website in the assessment and reporting area, so you can look at it in more detail then should you wish. Effort grades go from 4, which is poor effort, to 3, which is where effort requires improvement, to 2, which we deem as good effort, to 1, which is excellent effort. The top 8 rows are to do with effort in the classroom, and the bottom 3 rows that are shaded slightly darker are to do for effort in home learning. These effort descriptors are a group of learning and organisational behaviours that will lead to students being a success. And many of these behaviours are things that our students do on a daily basis and have been doing for many, many years. Excellent effort in the blue column is attainable for the majority of students and all they do. For example, they need to arrive promptly and fully equipped to every lesson. They need to show the right focus in lessons by sitting up straight, tracking the teacher, asking and answering questions and showing respect to others. Student books should be exceptional, with new vocabulary written down and defined and work presented so that the book can almost be used as a revision aid. Excellent effort by a student is also demonstrating listening skills, working collaboratively as a team and responding well to feedback. Excellent effort in home learning is similar, but applying these same skills to work completed at home and of course handing work in on time. The reason that I talk in detail about effort is that it's something that we are working on all the time in school. Form tutors and the year teams regularly revisit aspects of effort, and we're going into great detail in one area. One that's helping the students to understand just what is expected of them in all lessons. Teachers also reinforce the learning behaviours so they become habits, and the students will do them without thinking. And in my opinion, they're the most important part of the report because there are clear things that we can do in order to help students improve. So let's go back to the example report that I showed earlier. This student has clearly done well in most subjects and has a talent for drama with the effort grades and the curriculum statement extended. But the student hasn't done so well in science or maths. Could this be that effort in class is not as good as it could be? The student here can put the effort into other subjects, so what's going on? I would certainly have a conversation with the child. Firstly, I would talk about the effort and get the students to think about what they are trying in their subjects that they're doing well in. And are they applying the same effort, the same behaviours, the same habits to their maths and science? Or perhaps maybe the student hasn't grasped some of the concepts in maths and science. So it would be worth to look back at the curricula in these subjects and look at the breakdown of what's been taught and whether the student has grasped it. This will also be supported by the class teacher. So the reports here help guide the support for the student learning. Some students may see these curriculum statements in their effort and be able to work independently on improvement in a few of their areas. Some students may require some support from parents, from teachers or form tutors. All of this is absolutely okay. It's part of the learning process to get the students at Key Stage 3 ready for further studies at Key Stage 4. If you would like to know more, please visit the assessment and reporting section of the school website, where all this information will eventually be stored. At the moment, it's under construction, but there'll be much more information on there early to mid-January. That's all from me for the time being, and I thank you for your time listening to this presentation, and of course, for your continued support for all of our students. Goodbye.
Okay, so that is, I'm going to stop sharing now and come back onto the presentation. I apologize, I can't see. Yeah, so that's kind of a breakdown of our assessment and reporting process. Now, I know Mr. Dawson talked about it's going to be on the website. I can confirm it is there now. So if you do want to have a look at that a bit more closer, then please do. And I just kind of want to repeat Mr. Dawson's kind of sentiment that effort is a really, really solid thing to be able to discuss with your child. And I think it's about looking at where the effort's going in, how well they're doing in the different subjects. They do correspond, they do link, and that's kind of a really powerful way to go into a conversation. And having that effort grid on the website available to you to be able to talk through kind of what they're doing in classrooms and why they might be getting 2s instead of 1s and 3s instead of 2s is a really useful tool to have also. So I just want to say thank you very much for coming tonight, and like in the next day or two, it's Friday tomorrow, isn't it? So we will send out a parental kind of survey, but within that as well, there'll also be room for questions if you do have any, and we'd really appreciate you filling that out. So thank you so much. I am going to stop recording this now, and I wish you all a very happy what day are we on? Thursday evening. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you everybody for attending. Thank you, it's really appreciated. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.